Hey guys, welcome to the Weekend Toast. My name's Isaiah, and today we're going to be reviewing The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 4, which is Chapter 12. As always, got me and my friend Josh here. Josh, how you doing?
I am doing good, man. Another solid episode, I thought, huh?
Yes. We'll talk about it. I was worried at the beginning, but the episode itself overall we're still good. We're still good. So let's do this. Let's break down the episode synopsis. Let's see what happened, and then we'll go back through and talk about the things we liked and disliked.
Okay, cool. I've prepared a nice little short recap for us to read off, so I'll go ahead and go through that. I think it's pretty good, guys. I think you'll like it, all right? Still struggling with the shape of the Razor Crest, Mando and Baby Yoda head back to old friends on Navarro for repairs. With his car in the shop, Mando joins Apollo Creed, Not Ronda Rousey, and Aquaman on a mission to rid the planet of its last Imperial base. However, when the Fellowship reaches the crags of Mount Doom, they realize all is not as it seems. This is no military base, but a spooky laboratory. They set the place ablow, an epic chase scene ensues, and Mando saves the day. Now the Razor Crest is finally back on the road to Corvus, but we learn that Gus Fring has played a tracking device on his ship, and our hero lies in peril, though he knows it not. How about that?
I think IMDb should hire you. Right now.
That's what I'm saying.
If you ever looked at those synopses, like some of them I'm like, okay, that one's good, that one's horrible.
Very hit or miss.
Yeah.
Some of them are like, this is a movie where this guy and he goes here and then this happens. So it's like, oh.
Let's come back through that episode. What were your initial thoughts at just after watching it on the episode as a whole?
Yeah, so it's another example of the Mandalorian saying, okay, we're on the way to here, but first, mini adventure. What I feel like is being more introduced this season with this episode and the previous one with the other Mandalorians is that in this mini episode, we are being either developing or being introduced to completely new side plots. Mm-hmm. So with the previous episode with Bo-Katan, we have her whole arc of, oh, she wants to get to Moff Gideon to get the Darksaber, right? Yeah. She's got her own vendetta there.
Right.
Then here we get the arc of, and we knew this from the end of the last season, but just a little more development on the Empire remnants are still coming after Baby Yoda, and we see why they might want them. So I think that's interesting because it gets us off kind of the main mission of get Baby Yoda to the Jedi, but still developing a larger overall plot.
I feel like they do this thing in The Mandalorian where they'll introduce somebody. So in the last episode, it was the Mandalorians, Bo-Katan, and then like you don't see them in the next episode. Carl Weathers, this was his like directorial debut. He directed this episode.
I saw that, yeah.
And so
I thought that was cool.
It was cool. Like you kind of knew they weren't going to give him Ahsoka. They weren't going to give her that episode, or give him that episode. So I thought it was really cool. I think he did a good job. I did like the furthering of the why they need Baby Yoda thing. You could tell they were going to do something based on the previously seen, because they called back to some scenes that they haven't called back to at all. Where he actually breaks out Baby Yoda, and there's that scientist there, and he's like, "Don't hurt him. He's just a child." And you get to see later why that is.
I thought that was cool. I like how they will show minor characters, because I remember watching Mandalorian the first season. You go so many episodes without Carl Weathers, and it's like, oh, I guess he's not a main part of the show. Mm-hmm. But then he comes back later and plays an important role when he needs to.
Yeah.
And so I like how they're willing to go off for a few episodes and come back so that you can still have recurring characters and say, oh, I know that. And I feel like with season 2 now that we're so many episodes in, they're doing a good job of mixing that with introducing new characters entirely.
Was there anything that you were kind of like, I don't know, or things that you maybe just straight up disliked about the episode?
Yeah, I like the Baby Yoda plot, okay? And you might be ahead of me on why this particular development has bothered me. Very obvious. I think it's obvious at this point. Maybe you disagree, but the Empire wants Baby Yoda so they can clone Palpatine again, and it's going to tie into the sequels. And I am just dreading the connection with the sequels because I dislike them so much. Mm-hmm. I don't, like you've heard me say, and I've said on this show before, I don't really want it even to tie into the older movies or the main Skywalker saga really at all, because I like this independent story, but I really don't want it to tie into movies, which I think are just awful. Now, I feel like as far removed as we are now, if the conflict can stay against Giancarlo Esposito's character Moff Gideon, like that will be okay for me. But what are your thoughts on that? Did you see the clone bodies and have flashbacks to What was the last? Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, for sure. I can see it. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I do agree with you, that I feel like we're maybe 2 episodes away. but to that degree too, there's also so much that they still haven't addressed that gives me hope that even if they do in the end do the thing we don't want them to, that it'll be over the course of the next. It has to be. I mean, there's so much that they have to, so many characters that they have to work through and that they've introduced, and stories, subplots, and even main plots that they have to flesh out, unless the season just goes to crap, which I don't think will happen. But I think for me in this episode, there were some things like in the episode itself that probably I was like, the Fishman character for me was just, I felt like he was forced. I don't know why they had to choose him. I think they maybe just because, but I didn't necessarily. I was super suspect throughout the episode of how strong both Gina Carano's character and Carl Weathers' character, how strong they were at being just like a jerk to him. Like I was super suspect that something was about to happen where they were about to flip and like had like totally just backstab Mando the whole time. Like this was all something like they were tricking him to come. Yeah, I don't know why. Just with how strong they were at him, like get over here, do this. I'll take years off of your sentence and come cut this thing, and they're just bashing this guy. And then as soon as you get in and the base isn't what they thought it was, they thought it was just an army base, but they found out it's a research facility. It just had that scent of, you knew this and you brought me here to do this. Because I feel like that's something that keeps happening to him. He keeps getting recruited for these missions, and then they end up not being what he was sold.
Yeah, and like from a world building perspective, maybe I'm not remembering the end of season 1 very well, but like I did not, leaving Navarro the last time, did not think, oh yeah, Carl Weathers and Gina Carano are now the leaders of Navarro. And I was like, wait, she was just some lady and he was the head of the Bounty Hunters Guild, which they're all dead now, right? Yeah. So of course they're the new president and marshal or whatever. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to push it too far. At the end of the day, it's Star Wars, and the more detail you get, the more they look like the Trade Federation. And it's like, I don't want any of that. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the blue guy either. He doesn't get on my nerves quite as much as the other lady, but I feel like what the Mandalorian does struggle out a little bit is comedic relief. Because I feel like characters like him, because it's hard to laugh because I don't think his lines are good. I don't think he's that great of a performer, but also like he's their wage slave, or their debt slave. Yeah. He's a debt slave. That's what he is. And like, yeah, maybe he deserves it, but it's weird, like we're supposed to laugh at him like he's the abused sad sack, like in sitcoms like Meg from Family Guy or Toby from The Office, Jerry from either Rick and Morty or Parks and Rec. And it's just like, but with him, it's a weird thing.
Yeah, I felt bad for him.
Funny. Yeah. And like, I don't really like sympathize with him as like a person, but like, I still feel bad for him the way they treated him. Like, I'm not really laughing here. I'm not offended. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just like, yeah, I feel like the Mandalorian does struggle on the comedic relief that's not Baby Yoda being cute and eating or dropping something,
And they totally like, it was not hidden at all that one of the 2 mechanics that was going to go fix the Razor Crest was going to do something later on. I mean, the camera framed it as totally suspicious. You're like, okay, that, and maybe that's what I'm frustrated as. Like, okay, there was no, like, I can see this from a mile away. It's whether or not you forgot it by the end of the episode. And then as soon as they popped up, there's the tracer on there. Like, it's like, okay, I can see this wasn't just a filler episode. There was a lot in here. Some I'm sure that I even missed just watching it a couple hours ago. But you can tell it's like, okay, now they're going to lead Moff Gideon straight to Ahsoka Tano.
Do you think they'll have a lightsaber fight?
Oh, gosh, I hope not.
I don't want to see Giancarlo. Like, I'm cool if he's just like killing dudes with it, but I don't want to see a stunt double or, God forbid, a CGI looking like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man or whatever, flipping around and stuff.
So, okay, so let me ask you this, kind of just speculating moving forward. What do you anticipate in the next couple episodes we'll see? Because I think we're starting to, depending on how they decide to drag it out, or even if they, add in new stuff, a lot of these meetings are inevitable, whether it's Bo-Katan and Moff Gideon. You've got Mando trying to get to Ahsoka Tano. There's going to be stuff there. Like, what do you anticipate happening if you were just to guess?
It's kind of hard, right? Because every time you see an episode at the end, it's set up like, oh, you're doing this next. They interject with a small adventure along the way, which I do like, but it's you know, we didn't meet Ahsoka Tano this episode. So does that mean we'll meet her next time? Or is Grand Moff Gideon going to get to him before he even gets there? For me, I'm thinking that we at least get one more intermediary adventure before.
Okay.
Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to say next time we do meet Ahsoka, but he does an adventure for her. And it's only after that when the Empire comes into the picture, and maybe Bo-Katan does something before that.
Right.
That's kind of what I'm thinking, but it's going to be more of a delayed gratification.
I'm hoping. I feel like we've got a lot of. I feel like it's that conversation where you went on like 10 different tangents, and you're trying to get back to the main conversation. I'm worried that we're one more episode from just having so many things out there. That they'll have to like force it all into 1 or 2 episodes. I'd like them to shore up some things.
We're halfway through the season as it is right now.
Right.
I'm imagining that we won't see the Empire clash with, or I'm saying in episode 8, we'll see the Empire clash with Bo-Katan, Ahsoka, and Mando. They're all going to be brought to the same point at somewhere. It might start in episode 7, but the next 2 episodes are going to be little intermediary adventures where Mando gets to know Ahsoka. That's what I'm saying is going to happen. So
I feel like there's a couple of characters that they're slowly furthering on their development, even with you know, Gina Carano's character, that she had that interaction with the guy, and he's like, you know, did you lose people? And so they're furthering her. They're, you know, adding some depth in there. There's a story to explore. How do you feel like, you know, Din Djarin, the Mandalorian's character, is being developed over these past few episodes, and where it might go?
Yeah, well, we clearly saw in season 1 his devotion to the Mandalorian upbringing that he was giving, but also kind of a going away from the bounty hunter vibe to take care of Baby Yoda. I think with last week's introduction of Bo-Katan and knowing about her quest to get the Darksaber, which is kind of the symbol to rule all of Mandalore, I think in that we're going to see throughout the series that Din Djarin kind of more round out his own view of himself as a Mandalorian, not just somebody from the perspective he was brought up as, but seeing Bo-Katan as she's trying to obviously do something and reshape what's going on Mandalore. I think he's going to kind of have a self-actualization, if you will, where he understands more of his role in that. I'd say at some point this season, Katie Sackhoff gets him to take off his helmet, but not in like the emergency scenario of last, you know, remember the end of last season. It's going to be like, no, show me your face, or something like emotional. I'm saying that happens this season. Yeah.
But hey, that's our review of episode 4 out this morning, chapter 12. It was a good episode. I think we're excited about where things are going. But let us know what you think. What did you think about today's episode? Was it good? Was it bad? What were your favorite parts? What are you hoping happens in the future? And we will see you next week.